You ever just stop and think about the secret connections that link the most fundamental parts of life to some of the most advanced things we've ever created? It really does sound like something out of science fiction, but nope, it's happening at the molecular level, all around us, all the time. Okay, so let's jump right in with a bit of a puzzle. Think about this for a second. What on earth is the common thread between the genetic code that makes you, well, you, a powerful drug that comes from a flower, and the very material that can stop a bullet? The answer, it turns out, isn't some clever riddle. It's all about chemistry. So first up, we've got DNA. You know it, it's the genetic blueprint for pretty much all living things, an unbelievably complex molecule that holds every single instruction for building an organism. And then you have these powerful substances from nature. Take morphine, for instance, an incredible pain reliever that's pulled from the poppy plant. Plants actually make these things as a kind of chemical defense. And finally, we have these amazing synthetic materials, like Kevlar. This is a fiber so incredibly strong it's used in body armor, engineered to have properties that just blow away anything we'd normally find in nature. So what's the link? What's the secret? The solution to our little puzzle is hiding in the molecular structure of two specific chemical families, amines and amides. These two are the hidden architects, the common link between everything we've just seen.
All right, let's start with amines. To put it simply, an amine is a molecule that's got a carbon-nitrogen bond. Now, the key thing you gotta know here is that the nitrogen atom has this little pair of extra electrons it's more than happy to share, which makes it what chemists call a base. We find these things literally everywhere, from vitamins all the way to our own DNA. And then you have amides. They look almost identical to amines, but with one critical, game-changing tweak. The nitrogen atom is attached to something called a carbonyl group. That's a carbon double bonded to an oxygen. And that oxygen atom, it's kind of greedy for electrons, and its presence totally changes the nitrogen's behavior. This has some huge consequences, as we're about to see. So here you can see them side by side. On the left, a simple amine, and on the right, the amide, with that C double bond O, that carbonyl group, sitting right next to the nitrogen. You know, it looks like such a tiny change, but believe me, that one little addition makes all the difference in the world. So now that we have our chemical blueprints, let's see what they actually build. And honestly, there's no better place to start than with life itself. Remember DNA? Well, it's built from these units called nucleotides. A really key part of each one is the nitrogenous base, and that name kind of gives the game away, right? They contain amine groups, and the fact that they're bases is absolutely crucial for how the two strands at the double helix pair up and hold our genetic code together. But, you know, life is so much more than just a blueprint. Our bodies rely on proteins for just about everything. I mean, they transport molecules, they replicate our DNA, they power all sorts of reactions. And the building blocks for every single one of those proteins are molecules called amino acids. And this is where it all comes together so beautifully. See, an amino acid has an amine group on one end and a different group, a carboxylic acid, on the other. So to build a protein, the amine of one amino acid reacts with the acid of another. A little water molecule pops out and bam! What's formed is an incredibly strong link called a peptide bond. And guess what a peptide bond is? It's an amide bond. Life is literally built by forming amides over and over and over again to create these long, complex protein chains. So that's how these molecules build us. But what about in the wider natural world? Well, it turns out plants use these exact same chemical groups, often for defense, and they can have some really powerful effects on us. Plants produce this whole class of compounds called alkaloids. The name basically means alkali-like because just like amines, there are bases. These are pretty complex ring-shaped molecules that have amine groups tucked inside them, and they often have really profound effects on our bodies. We're talking about things like nicotine, morphine, and codeine. Now this is absolutely wild. Take a look at these three. They all come from the poppy plant. Morphine has these two specific chemical groups called hydroxyls. Now, if you chemically tweak just one of those groups, you get codeine, which is less potent. But if you alter both of them, you get the incredibly powerful and addictive drug heroin. It's just a stunning example of how tiny molecular changes can lead to dramatically different results. Okay, so let's pivot. We've gone from the natural world to the world of human invention. We've seen how amines and amides build life and create potent drugs. So what happens when we start engineering them ourselves? This brings us right back to our bulletproof vest and the story of Kevlar. It was created by a chemist named Stephanie Kwolek at DuPont.
And get this, she wasn't even trying to invent body armor. Her team was just trying to create a lightweight, super durable fiber to replace steel in tires. But what she discovered was a material with some truly exceptional, unbelievable properties. So just how exceptional are we talking? By weight, pound for pound, Kevlar is about 5 times stronger than steel. Let that sink in, 5 times. That is just an incredible feat of material science. So where does all this super strength come from? Well, the secret, once again, is the amide bond. Kevlar is what's called a polyamide, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a long chain of molecules all linked together by amide bonds. Now, imagine all these long chains lying next to each other. The amide groups on one chain form these powerful attractions to the groups on the next chain, kind of like zillions of tiny, super strong magnets. We call them hydrogen bonds, and they lock all the chains together into these incredibly rigid, sheet-like structures. And that molecular organization, that's the source of its incredible strength. And because of that amazing strength, Kevlar is used in so many things beyond just body armor and combat helmets. It's in high-performance bicycle tires, the mooring lines that hold massive ships in place, insulation for equipment that has to operate at nearly minus 200 degrees Celsius, and even in super lightweight canoes. It's everywhere. So let's bring it all back together. From the DNA inside our cells, to the proteins that make us work, to the alkaloids that plants use for defense, and the high-tech polymers that we invent, the humble amine and amide groups are the common thread running through all of it. They are the fundamental building blocks used by both nature and science to create structures of incredible complexity and mind-boggling strength. It really gets you thinking, doesn't it? I mean, if all of this can come from just a couple of simple arrangements of nitrogen, carbon, and oxygen, what other world-changing secrets are just sitting there waiting to be discovered, hidden in the simple bonds between atoms?